One, as we are continuing to look back at the amazing career of Kobe Bryant. The 18-time All-Star won 5 titles and had countless big-time moments on the court. He won the dunk contest his rookie season, had a career-high 81 points in a game, and also had a 4-game streak of 50-plus points, to name just a few of those moments. So, Chris, I'd like to start with you. What will you remember most about Kobe as a player?
I'm going to bring up a memory that I think a lot of people overlook, and it's the 2000 finals against Indiana. Game 4, Kobe's in his 4th year. Remember, he had an ankle injury, so he missed all of Game 3, played like 8 minutes in Game 2, only scored 2 points. So they're playing Indiana. It's a tight game, 1-possession game, and Shaq fouls out with about 3 minutes left. Kobe, on the bad ankle, hits 3 big buckets at the end of the game to lead them to victory. I think he had 26 points that game, and they won. That made it 3-1. Basically, the series was over. I think that's where he cemented his legacy as a closer, as a clutch guy. Because even, he missed a lot of closing shots at the end of games, too, after that. But doing that as a 21-year-old, just 21 years old, and Shaq's gone, cemented him as a closer. So that's one of my greatest memories of him on the court. And then the second one is, you could talk about the 81, but 60 points in his last game on 50 shots. Like, that was totally Kobe. That was pure Kobe to take 50 shots and score 60 points on his way out. He hadn't even scored 40 points that season in any one game. And so to go out and do it at 37 years old in a win, those are the things I remember about Kobe on the court.
81 points. Yeah. That's all. Yeah, look, he's a 5-time champion. He was a great, he could lock it down on both ends. 9-time first-team all-defensive player. Maybe there's a time or two in there he probably should have won Defensive Player of the Year. But he's as good as they got on the perimeter guarding. But what we see James Harden did, Kobe did that a decade ago. Kobe had stretches like, we've never seen anything like it, where he had 62 and 3/4 against Dallas.
He did.
In the same season, he had that 8.
That's right there with 81 to me, 62 and 3.
Because he could have got there.
Yeah.
And he probably thought about it, but he said, why did you go? Oh, there'll be other times. What you mean there's going to be other times? You're going to get 60. You're like, that's a 30-point game. But Skip, I mean, the ease in which he could score the basketball. He developed that fadeaway. He always had the quickness to be able to put the ball on the floor and get to the bucket, finish over the top of you, finish with either hand, could shoot, great free throw shooter. And then the clutch, I mean, you tear your Achilles. I know if I tear my Achilles, get me to the dressing room. I ain't trying to shoot no shot. I ain't trying to wave at no crowd. You get me in there because I'm hurting. What Kobe do? Go to the free throw line, knock them both down, walk off the court. That's his mentality. He was clutch. I mean, all these young kids, they hollering Kobe now. Right. When they pull up with a jumper, that's Kobe. So, Skip, I mean, that's it. I mean, he got a legacy that he shouldn't feel, look, that's what we do. Shows like this, what we do. We compare. Jordan, Kobe, LeBron, this one and that one. But Kobe's resume stacks up favorable against anybody. He don't have anything. With 5 championships, twice an Finals MVP, the All-Star game, the All-Star Games MVP, Kobe Bryant ain't got nothing. Shouldn't have to take a back seat to anyone.
By the way, it was just mentioned, and I'd forgotten, Kobe did win the dunk contest his rookie year.
I think it was second year.
Second year.
Yep. Rookie season, yeah.
In Cleveland, of all places. Interesting. And I was just trying to remember, did LeBron ever do the dunk contest? I was just wondering.
There you go. You see that? What LeBron got to do with this?
Wait, I can't. No, I don't think LeBron ever did the dunk contest. I was just wondering. Because I forget those things.
Yeah, you forgot.
So, people do know I'm a longtime Spurs fan. And from my heart, in all those big early Lakers-Spurs clashes going back to the early start of this century, 2000, 2001. Remember the .6 shot that got his? Yeah, Derek Fisher at San Antonio. In all those games, from my heart, the guy who scared me to death was always Kobe and not Shaq. I've often called Shaq the greatest offensive force I've ever seen for those 3 years. He used to just ragdoll Tim Duncan and David Robinson. He just toss them out of the way and dunk over both of them. And they just destroyed San Antonio in the the Western Conference Finals, and was it 2001, I believe it was? Just destruction.
Yes, they swept them.
Yeah, swept them. But the guy I feared, the guy who shot the most daggers, was always Kobe. And he was just still a kid to me. But speaking of kid, these are my two favorite memories because they connect over 19 years. I will never forget Kobe Bryant at age 18 in a closeout playoff game against Utah, his rookie year. I even wrote down the date of it. It was May the 12th of 1997. They eventually lost the game 98-93. This kid trying to step into the shoes that were once filled by Magic and Kareem and Worthy goes 0 for 6 from 3 and shoots 4 flat-out air balls that didn't even come close to touching anything but air. And I watched it, and I was in awe of just how bad he was, but the gumption it took, he just kept firing because that's who he was. And how many kids, Chris, how many of you covered in all your years covering the league, all my years covering the league, would have been wrecked psychologically by that, where it would have taken
Anderson,
them. Yeah,
the free throws.
That's true. And you never quite recover. It just drove this kid to become that guy.
Right.
And he worked harder and harder. I always called Jordan, in the years I covered him in Chicago, supremely talented overachiever. And Kobe became, in the mold of Michael, just that. Nobody worked harder off the court through the offseason than Kobe, Michael. Tiger does that in golf, or did that all through his glory years. And yet, it came full circle, 19 years, to your memory, of they played Utah again in his last, so to speak, closeout game. And he scores 60, and when it ends, he literally drops the mic. Well, he laid it down on the floor after saying, Mamba out. Mamba out. Well, is that not a Hollywood ending?
Right.
How can you do that? That's impossible to go from that kid from Lower Merion High School who shoots 4 air balls with the game on the line. 2 of them came in the last 30 seconds. What? And yet, Shannon has made the point, they were just saying, shoot it. You're that guy. You believe you're that guy. Jerry West picked him because he thought he was that guy.
Yep.
And he was going to become that despite that disaster of a night against Utah.
I tell you what, too, you know, obviously, we're always debating who's the GOAT. And it's usually LeBron and Jordan. Most current players that I've talked to and ex-players that played against both of them, LeBron and Kobe, they always, almost to a man, y'all got to put Kobe in that conversation.
Okay. Yeah.
Why isn't Kobe, like ex-player, and a good number of ex-players have Kobe ahead of LeBron because of the killer instinct, precisely because of that. I think another thing, you mentioned the 5 titles. We shouldn't just gloss over that like, that's simple. I mean, that's why we say Jordan's the GOAT. He had 6. But 5 titles is a ton. Like, LeBron is one of the greatest we've ever seen. He's got 3 in 16 years, full years. Durant's got 2. Who knows when we'll see somebody win as the best player or second best player on the team 5 titles again. So that's huge. And I also got to say this, too. Kobe, nobody talks about this with him. He was one of the greatest game dunkers of all time. And people overlooked that. He had one where he went behind the back on a break.
It went up underneath.
And it was like a 360 on somebody in transition. I was in the Garden when I don't remember how many points he had, but he was playing the Knicks. And we remember Dr. J's great iconic move where he went from one side of the paint to the other and laid it in. Kobe did that and dunked it against the Knicks. So, I mean, we don't talk about him as one of the great dunkers, but he really was in games.
And Phil, in his first book, ripped Kobe as a defensive player, saying he wasn't really locked down, he roamed and disrupted. But then in Phil's second book, he acknowledged that Kobe was a game-changing defender. Again, 12 times all defensive team. That's what I'm saying, 9 times first team. But he was, Phil said he could change the game on defense by picking his spot to pick your pocket.
Yep.
Yeah. But he was tremendous on ball.
Yeah.
I mean, because you know he could go get 50, 60. But if your guy was possibly get 40 or 30, he could shut him down.
That's why guys, I think that's why they have Kobe ranked so high. Because you know, as an ex-athlete, when you hate playing somebody that's just going to be all up in your chest on both sides of the ball. When they have the ball, they're going to try to take it to your throat. And when they're guarding you, they're all over you. Like, that was hard. Kobe Bryant, man.
And normally guys that can score like that, Skip, they don't put them on other guys that can score. They let them reserve the energy. There's a reason why Pat Bev can lock up. They ain't asking Pat Bev to go get you 35. But imagine Kobe and Jordan and these guys that they ask. Kawhi, even Kawhi. Kawhi, go lock him down. But we need that 30 now. Don't skip me on my 30. Don't short me on that now. I still need them.
Kobe was the definition of a competitor when you think about watching him. And that is the image that I'm going to be holding close to me today. Chris, thank you for being here. We appreciate your time. We do have a special guest next as well. Terrell Owens will stop by. He is going to share some of his favorite memories and his relationship with Kobe. More Undisputed.